Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Reference Roundtable. Welcome back to those of you who are returning. For those of you who are watching us for the first time, my name's Michael, and I'm joined today by Sarah and Lacey, and we are all librarians here at the Sioux City Public Library. And today we thought for our episode we'd do a fun little summer wrap-up where we just kind of talk about what we've been reading, what our favorite books of the summer have been recently. And so it's just going to be a little mix of everything today. There's not one topic or one theme. So hopefully there's a book for all of the people watching in our selection. All these books that we're going to show you today are available right now in the library's collection. So if you see something that you'd like to read, go ahead and put a hold on it and you can check it out this week. Let's see. I know the last two episodes we haven't had one of us here. Lacey's been gone, so welcome back to Lacey.
I'm sure I've been a noticeable
I know.
attraction.
We were weeping and
we did. I missed you.
Pulling clumps of hair out.
I'm sure it wasn't the same.
We did miss you, and we had a lot of fun with your questions. If you watched us, I think 2 weeks ago was when we did the questions Lacey left for us, and that was a really fun episode. So in honor of your wonderful return to Reference Roundtable,
triumphant,
truly triumphant. Do you want to start us off with your first book?
Yeah, I've read a lot of books this summer. I've definitely been in fiction mode. I think I've only read fiction other than the Madhouse at the End of the Earth that we all read. I have fiction. Yeah. So all mine are fiction. So the first one is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garbus. You may have heard of it before. I think it's gotten a lot of buzz. It came out this spring, early summer. It's pretty new. Fantastic book, super fun, a pretty quick read. I'll just give a quick summary. It's about a woman, I think it's in the early 1960s. She's super intelligent, just like one of those people who just so smart. You just know as soon as you meet them, they're crazy intelligent. She goes and wants to become a scientist, but of course, she's not taken very seriously. She falls in love with and marries another scientist. You know, he's lauded and wins all these awards. She's just as smart, if not smarter, but she doesn't get the same kind of treatment and respect he does. But she finds herself through all kinds of things hosting a cooking show. And that really brings her a lot of acclaim. That's all I'm going to give you. You'll have to read it if you want more. But it's fantastic. She's a great character. You really get a taste of what working women had to deal with at the time. And so it's like you feel all the feelings, basically. Happy, sad, angry. You get all of the emotions. But it's just a really good read. I definitely recommend it as like a summer read.
Yeah, cool. I think this is kind of a teaser announcement, but we're doing another trivia event soon, and this is one of the books that I ordered for a prize because
it has a really cool cover too. Yeah, so I'm sure people will want that one.
It's on all kinds of best of the year lists already. So,
like I said, it's a pretty quick read too, which is kind of nice in the summer. You're not wanting to pick up a tome that's 800 pages.
No tomes.
That one's been on my list for a while. Kelsey actually told me that I should read it. She's like, I think you would really like it, and it kind of looks romancy to me. So I'm always kind of like,
It's a touch of it, but it's definitely not like a romance book. It's
cool.
Just,
I still really want to read it. So
neat. Wow.
Nice.
Sarah, what do you have?
All right. Well, I brought a couple with me, so I'll start with one that I brought.
I'm curious.
Well, grabbed off the shelf, I should say. Bring with me. This one is called Notes on Your Sudden Disappearance, and it's by Allison Espach. I'm not sure exactly how you say that. But I picked this book up or put it on hold. I can't remember because obviously sudden disappearance reeled me in because of my love for all things crime and that sort of thing. But it was actually a lot different than I expected, but still really very good. It's told from the perspective of Sally, and it kind of goes through a span of 15 years. So it's when she's, I can't remember exactly how old, younger, a teenager probably. Her older sister, Kathy, is no longer in her life. And I don't want to say why, because that's part of...
No, you don't want to give it away.
That's part of what kind of kept me going with the book, because it definitely wasn't what I expected. But still heartbreaking, obviously. So it kind of goes through their life, like, when they're still together, when her sister's still in her life. They kind of both like really like this boy Billy, and the older sister Kathy ends up like dating Billy, and they're all really happy and having a great time. And then there's a turning point, and then it kind of goes through their lives after Kathy's gone, and kind of how they all, her parents and her and Billy and other people in their lives, kind of navigate that afterwards and how they keep going on. So
sounds good. Like family drama, maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely like a family drama. So it's right at the top, heartbreaking and funny, often in the same sentence. So it was super good, and also it says like a dazzling, unconventional love story for readers of Ask Again Yes, and Ask Again Yes is like one of my favorite books ever. So I read that after I got the book, so I was like, funny. Okay, I'm definitely gonna love this.
Is this one for one of the book club, like the major book clubs, like a Jenna Picks or Reese Witherspoon? I feel like
maybe like after it came out. It doesn't have the marketing, but it definitely could be, because I could see it being one that you could talk a lot about.
I love the cover. It's very
spooky. I do too. And also it looked summery to me, so it's a good summer read.
Well, my first book is going to be our first nonfiction book of the day, and I really like to read memoirs, and I was super excited to see that Viola Davis was coming out with hers. It's called Finding Me.
Show the back.
It's
it's got her
baby picture, or not little kid picture.
Yeah. So
it's an Oprah's Book Club pick for 2022, and I can totally see why. Like, I felt like I kind of knew a lot about Viola Davis because I've seen her in How to Get Away with Murder, The Help. She's in all kinds of movies. She was in Suicide Squad. She has that new movie coming out. I think it's called The Woman King.
She's been in so much.
She's been in so much. Offenses. She got the Academy Award. So she has a pretty public life. But I had no idea what I was in for when I started this book. She is such a rags to riches story. She grew up in like abject poverty in Rhode Island, and there's stories about her like waiting to feel like rats jumping off on her bed as a little kid. Like she lived in a rat-infested house, so she has a fear of rats to this day. But just the amount of stuff she's overcome, and her strength like really comes through, and it's just, but it's also like not a humorless story, right? Like there's highs and lows, and it's just an exciting look at somebody's rise to like the top of their field. And even if you're not into like acting and actors, like she's one of the best at her craft, and to see how she gets there is really neat and really inspiring no matter what you do for a living. So that's Finding Me.
Everyone likes like a success story, like you said, rags to riches. Like who doesn't enjoy that?
Yeah,
it's genuinely like incredible, this book. So highly recommend it.
She's so great too.
Yeah.
Just like, I love to learn about their like backstory after seeing them in movies, and
and you still get like little tidbits like what it's like to work with Meryl Streep. Like there's stuff like that in there too. It's not all about like a rough childhood, but yeah.
Cool. All right.
It's cool.
Nice. Well, another book that I read this summer that's pretty different from I think anything we've talked about so far is called The Impossible Us by Sarah Lotz. So it's kind of weird. It's basically a romance story, but it's definitely not your typical like meet cute. It's meet cute with a little bit of a time discrepancy thrown in. So long story short is there are these two people that live, I believe one is in the UK and one's in the United States. I wrote this one a couple months ago. And one of them emails basically a client, and it shows up in this other person's email box. And so this guy and this gal start emailing each other, and they fall in love. They really do. And they're like, we got to meet each other after, emailing back and forth for weeks. Well, turns out they're emailing each other from different timelines. Like it's crazy. I don't want to give too much away, but they figure it out because there's like little things that are off. So and so's not heard of this war, or this person was never prime minister. And there's most big things are like the same, but there's a few things that give it away. So it's kind of weird. I mean, you might like it if you like romance. You might like it if you like a little bit of weird sci-fi. So yeah, it's kind of different. But like I said, I really recommend it. Again, I think I read it in like 2 days.
It's kind of like
it was super fast.
it sounds like a metaverse story, which is so big right now, like with Marvel movies and everything everywhere all at once.
It is cool because part of it's like in their emails, like you're reading their emails, so it's kind of funny. You know how that is, kind of like getting a little glimpse.
I love
that's cool.
Different stuff like that.
It kind of almost reminded me of what's that Rainbow Rowell one that had all
attachments.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't exactly like that, but it kind of reminded me of that. So, like I said, really fun.
That sounds interesting. Cool. And the way you told us about it too made it very like you left me wanting more. Like
that
was
exactly.
Good.
Well, we got our first comment. Happy haircut, Mike.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had my friend buzz all my hair off, and I feel very free. It's special.
It's a summer cut.
It's a summer cut.
It's a summer
perfect for August. All
right. Is it me again?
It is.
Okay, so I'll talk about the one that I didn't bring with me, and we'll sandwich it between the two that I did. So the other one I want to talk about is called Take My Hand, and it's by Dolan Perkins Valdez. And it's a lot, but it's good. How to explain it? It's based on a true story. It takes place in like early 70s South, so in like Montgomery, Alabama. Mm-hmm. And I believe the true story wasn't exactly in Montgomery, but similar. And it's narrated by a nurse. Her name is Sybil, and Sybil Townsend, and she just started working at like a family planning clinic. Mm-hmm. And she has clients, and she figures out that these two girls she sent to their home to give them like birth control shots. She gets there and finds out they're 11 and 13 years old, and they're living in squalor. And so basically she helps them. It's the mother has passed away. They live with their father and their grandfather, or their father and their grandmother. And so she helps them get housing, and she helps them with all these things. And she's like, they don't need these birth control shots. So she stops giving them to them. But that causes a lot of problems, and people find out. And then she goes to visit them a couple weeks later and finds out that they're in the hospital and they've been sterilized. Like the head nurse. And this is a true story. This really happened to two girls that were 12 and 14. And so there was a real lawsuit, and so the book kind of goes through this story of this and kind of how it changed her life. And she kind of goes back and forth. It starts with her in the future. She's retiring now, and it goes back and forth. And so it's really good. It's kind of heartbreaking at times.
It sounds intense.
Yeah,
it's very intense, but very interesting as well. And just maybe
if you want to feel all the feelings, maybe
but
read
it's
that
written
one.
so well, and like you just feel for these characters, all of the characters. Mm-hmm. And just so
all right. Our internet may have gone out there, but we're still here. And it's time for my second one, which is a fiction book. It is Matrix by Lauren Groff. And Lauren Groff's a pretty popular author. Mm-hmm. She wrote, I think it was Florida, was it?
I read Fates and Furies. I've not read that one.
Yeah, she wrote Florida as well. And Arcadia, which came out a while ago. She's written a lot. And a lot of her books are pretty popular. This one was really buzzy earlier this year. And so I had to pick it up because I was so intrigued. It's a historical fiction, also based off of a true story of this medieval nun who basically is kind of in a romantic tryst with the queen when she's younger. And then so she gets sent off to the convent. And at the convent, she eventually rises to become Mother Superior. And then just because of shifting political tides and stuff and how isolated they are, her power grows and grows and grows. And the whole book is about how she grows her power and protects her power and what she does with it. And it's I don't read a lot of books set in the medieval era, but so this was a departure for me. And I think she does a really great job of, because I don't want to use the word like crass, maybe crude, but like she does a good job of like showing just how like dirty and rough life was back then.
Can't even imagine.
It's like I almost would say like it's not. There's some like darkly comic notes in here. It's almost like it reminds me of Monty Python approach to like medieval at times at points, because it's like, wow, these people are really grotesque. But it's also, I don't know, the main character is an unforgettable character. I could never predict what was happening next, and it was just an absolutely fascinating book. So
that sounds really interesting. Definitely is not like anything I've read.
Right. I don't read too many books about nuns in medieval Europe. But I recommend this one.
Nice. The cover is really cool too. It's different.
We had a visitor, so shout out to Carol.
That's why
my last week. She's gonna have to join us.
We're gonna pull her in
We're
on camera next time.
Yes,
she's gonna have to tell us her favorite books.
Okay, we had a comment from Bill again. And it's in 2 parts. Sounds like Our Father on Netflix.
I'll have to check
I
it out.
think that's coming from yours.
I think so too.
I think that was when you were talking about
so and I don't know anything about it, so I'm not sure exactly.
We'll have
what
to check
is,
that one out.
Definitely have to check that out.
All right. I think it's me, isn't it?
It
For my
is.
third one. Okay,
Yes.
so I saved the best for last.
Oh.
So I'm sure nobody else will like this, but this is like my favorite book of the summer. So it is called The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And it's a mystery. I would kind of describe it as a cozy mystery, but it's not like the like typical like solved by a cat happens in a bookstore. It's cozy in the sense that it's basically a bunch of 70-year-olds that live in this community for older people, retirees in England, and they get together on Thursdays, hence the Thursday Murder Club, and they like to look at cold cases, see if they can solve them. And it's 4 of them. They all are incredibly different and hilarious and strange, and they just like get along wonderfully. I found myself laughing out loud within 5 minutes of starting this book, and so I was like, I'm gonna love this. And like I said, it is a cozy mystery, but it's very much like real, if that makes sense. Like stuff happens, people get hurt. It's not like
good.
It's not like PG. It's PG-13. It's still very much like an adult story. You find out about these people's lives previously. Some of them have been married, divorced, married, widowed. There's a lot going on, but you just fall in love with the characters and you just want to read more. And I'm happy to say it is the first book in a series, and I think the 3rd book in the series is actually coming out in September. So go out and read The Thursday Murder Club right now.
Then you can start at the ground level with the series too.
And I'm pretty sure they're making it into like a movie or a TV show or something.
It sounds fun.
I also
really fun.
I like the image of you like curled up in a blanket with a mug of coffee, opening a mystery book and giggling as you read it.
I read it when we were on vacation, so I was like sitting in the car. So I don't know if it's as cute, but it was just, like I said, it was just wonderful. And like, I can't recommend it enough for like just a fun summer read. Like, it's got mystery. You wonder what's going on.
All right. I guess I saved my best for last too.
So, you have to.
I don't know if I did.
Well,
I don't know if you did either. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay, I've talked about this book a few times.
Did we unbox
Yeah,
that?
we unboxed it. So it's its second appearance on Reference Roundtable.
And it's Half Blown Rose. It's by Lisa Cross Smith. And I just have to share a quick side note about Lisa Cross Smith. So I don't know. I was on Facebook a week or so ago, and there was some other librarian that had posted something like, what author do you read every single book from? And I commented Lisa Cross Smith and kind of made it like a tag. So her author page would be, and she commented back.
Wow.
So I fangirled.
Yeah.
I fangirled. I showed my husband. What? She responded.
I love it when stuff like that happens.
But it's true because I've read every single one of her books and I love every single one. She's like the master of creating these complicated relationships and just turning them into art. I don't know how else to explain it. Every single one of her books just have these relationships that are so they feel so real. And so this one, Half Blown Rose, takes place mostly in Paris, and The main character's name is Vincent. It's a woman, and she's named after Vincent van Gogh. So it's full of art. It's
cool.
Just amazing. And she's went to Paris after a betrayal from her husband. Her husband is a writer, and he just has released a book that he didn't tell her anything about. He wouldn't tell her what he was writing, and it's fiction, but it's based on his life. And she went and got the book and read it because she had to know what it was about. And in the book, the character, who is her husband, has a child that he had when he was like 15 or 16 years old.
So she's finding all this out.
And his parents made him leave the child, and he has never met the child or anything, and then left Ireland, and they moved to the United States. And yeah, she never knew anything about this.
That's wild.
And so she took off to Paris to evaluate her life,
as one does.
And and she meets new people, maybe a new man. Just everything gets very complicated, and but yeah, I couldn't put it down. Also, something about this book, I don't know if I can find any in here, but she has playlists with like real songs.
Nice.
So she'll go and be
that.
like, Vincent's playlist on the train to wherever, and then she has like the music
That's
for
cool.
that section. I took pictures of them all so I could actually like make the playlist.
How cinematic.
I like books like that too in the summer, because like Paris, like
yeah,
you think about travel and like going to a new city and things like that in the summer. So that sounds very similar to me.
Yep. I absolutely loved it. So I love all of her books.
A ringing endorsement.
Yes.
Did you say best for last?
My last book is by this newer. It's published in an independent press. It's kind of an unknown newer author coming up who I think is going to be like the next big thing. But
he's being sarcastic.
it's Cujo by Stephen King. There's a picture if you haven't heard of him.
That's an old picture.
Yeah. I just finished this one, I think last week, and this is so like kind of silly, but the reason I wanted to read it is because I knew it was about people trapped in a hot car, and it's been so hot outside. I was like, I can read this book about people trapped in a hot car and feel like I'm there, and I could. I also
Who does that?
Michael.
I also love a creature feature. Like, I don't just love the Jurassic Park movies. The Michael Crichton books are even better than the movies. Like, books about animals run amok are my favorite.
That just sounds horrific to me. Like, I've never read it. Obviously, I know what it's about, you know.
I mean, I'd never seen the movie. I didn't really know how it ends. And so that makes... if I'm reading a horror book and I don't know what's going to happen, there's obviously like a bunch of suspense. So really, I read it really quickly. It? I do. I liked it. And I don't always like Stephen King. Like, I've read a few Stephen King books and it's been very hot or cold with me.
It's pretty short for a Stephen King book too. He can be lengthy.
And this is the one where he's like famously said, I think it was in his On Writing book, that he was like so drunk at the time it was going through addiction when he wrote it. So he doesn't even remember writing it. It's also got like a lot of, I don't know, when I think of Stephen King, I think of like Stranger Things and like late set like 70s, 80s, 90s, like horror. So there's like, even though it's contemporary to the time this book came out, which I think was like the end of the 70s, there's still like a cool, I don't want to use the word vintage, but
yeah. I mean, at this point,
and it's just funny, like how many problems are in this book that we wouldn't have today.
Oh yeah.
Like it's the perfect storm. Why this woman and her son are like trapped in a car, and
and like, now like cell phones,
you just call somebody now. So it's like really frustrating as a modern reader to read it because you're like, this shouldn't be a problem. This shouldn't be a problem. And the dog is like, I don't know, it kind of made me wary of dogs. like
I'm sure it made a lot of people.
I was like, is rabies really like this? And you kind of never really know if the dog's really rabid, or they kind of hint that it's like a reincarnated serial killer in the dog. So
he does like his like demonic, like supernatural flavors, you know.
And even if you're not like a big creature feature fan like I am, it's still like a compelling horror story about like a mother and her son and like what a mom will do to like protect her child. So it's like there are parts of this book that are really like heartbreaking too. I think it has like a lot of empathy for a horror novel, especially the parts that are from the perspective of the dog, which I didn't know I was going to be getting. So like I was afraid of the dog, but I also felt really bad because he was a good dog until he wasn't, and it's so I don't know. It
sounds like it made you feel more than like you thought you would.
It made
like,
me
when
feel
you first
more.
Started.
Yeah, it made me feel way more than I expected. And I enjoyed it. It made me want to pick up another Stephen King book because I've always really respected him as an author, but I've also been kind of like, I don't know if it's really for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe in these shorter books, maybe when he's a little tighter with his writing, I can get more into it versus something like it just like this
like
thick.
800 pages.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's a lot to do. But yeah, that was I think it's a good summer read because like part of the horror of it is how hot it is.
I'm sure that adds to like the fear and how extreme everything feels.
I feel like that'd be a good winter read because then you're like wanting to,
which like I suppose would have been just as bad as them. Like if they had been caught in the winter, they would have been freezing. But yeah, and like everybody's been in a hot car for a little while, I think, and it's not fun.
No, it's awful. It gets awful fast.
And I think that's such a brilliant like set piece and a trap to be like trapped in a car with a beast outside that's gonna like kill you.
Fair.
Yeah.
So very harrowing, and that's my final one. So
we've read a selection. That was like a wild variety of books we all read.
For sure.
Like there's a few from both of you that I'm like, tell me more. Like
that's good. That's good.
I kind of want to go email someone and see if they're on a different timeline. Be like, is it better there?
Who's the president there? What's the weather outside?
Am I rich in that timeline? Yeah, it's fun to see all the different kind of books we read because we have so many similarities and differences, but it's just fun to hear what people like.
Oh yeah, I've definitely read books because of you. And other people that were here that I never would have picked up otherwise.
It's like the check it out shelf.
Right. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't.
Which is part of the fun of our...
Really, it is, yeah.
We got a comment from Camille. She says, not a big Stephen King fan, but this sounds interesting.
See, that's kind of how I felt, and it did interest me more than I thought it would. Speaking of books that we all read and some of us really like, some of us may not, we don't know yet, is next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, we will be reading Sarah's pick.
It's our next book club.
So if you want to read along, it's Three Girls from Bronzeville, correct? So,
yes, the author is Dawn Turner.
And so in a couple of weeks, we'll be discussing that one.
Okay.
Ooh.
Debbie says, I found the Thursday Murder Club books free on Kindle for Amazon Prime members.
There you go.
Ooh,
so that's
very
a good
nice
tip. Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed them, the third one's coming out in September.
Cool.
So
nice.
I'm excited.
Cool.
Well, if you're watching this now, you can go ahead and leave a comment. We're going to be heading out soon, but even if you're watching it later, I'd love to hear comments or see comments of your
Let us
favorite
know what
books.
you're reading. Yeah, what did you love?
Yeah, what was your favorite summer read or from summers past even? I think would be really cool to see. So go ahead, feel free to comment, even if you're not watching this live. And if you ever have any questions or you want some reading recommendations or if you just want to say hi, you can reach us at at the Sioux City Public Library. You can reach us here. I'm not lying. If you want to email us, though, you can email questions@siouxcitylibrary.org. So questions@siouxcitylibrary.org, and we will see your message. And with that said, we'll be back next week. I don't know what we're doing next week.
I think we'll do book drop.
Book drop?
Yeah.
So another It Came from the book drop next week.
That's always fun.
Those are excellent.
Tune in at this time next week, see what people have been reading, which is always kind of... But so we'll be back then. One last comment before we go.
My favorite read was The Lincoln Highway by Amber Toll.
That was one of our book club books here, and it we got a great discussion about it. And I had no idea that the Lincoln Highway goes all the way to Times Square in New York City. So I've actually walked across the Lincoln Highway all the time.
That's
so it's
very cool.
It's a cool connection. I guess that's what highways are, connections. And with that said,
metaphorical.
We'll connect with you all again next week,
Yes.
same time. So see you then. Until then, keep reading Sioux City.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.